Hi, beloveds. Welcome back to my channel. This is Divine Empress, your Fulani sister. Today, I want to talk about the power of revelation. I used to think of the truth shall set you free based on the knowledges that you acquire, the knowledges that you acquire about yourself, or the knowledges that you acquire about things in life, like um, maybe about your faith, or maybe about things that you knew, just learning more about things. But recently, a situation happened where I made a mistake, and in the process of thinking about that mistake and dealing with it, I realized something else about the power of revelation. I was the type of person that when I do something wrong, especially if something that affects somebody else, it would like I wouldn't mentally be okay for days. I don't like wronging people. It doesn't matter the level of the situation or whatever it is. I had a hard time forgiving myself and releasing and giving myself grace when I make mistakes. Especially when you make mistakes that it seems so obvious. Like there's things that, you could have easily avoided and now you made those mistakes. It's like, how did I end up here? And you know better than that situation. But mistakes are just unavoidable. Sometimes when other things are happening in your life, especially you're not mentally okay. So then you start to mess up on even things that you wouldn't normally mess up on. So if you're someone that's hard on yourself, you start to beat yourself up even more because of the mistakes. And now that just adds to your stress. I was like that. I was that person. And when this situation happened, I was like to myself, I could have avoided this. It was something that I felt was coming, but I wanted to wait it out. I was like, you know what? Just maybe it might not get bad. It might not be as bad as I thought. You know how they're like, when you're in a situation, try not to panic. I was in my head, like, my instinct and everything was telling me, don't let this go on. Don't let this go on. But because there was still the possibility, there was still the other side. Just maybe. And that just maybe ended up being a problem. And now I have to deal with the fact that this is a mistake that affected somebody else. It can cause somebody else something for sure. I thought of a way to fix the situation, of course, to replace the problem that I caused. And I was thinking about it for days because I didn't, I wanted to plan fixing the situation before I told the people that it affected, so that by the time I told them it's a problem solved. And as the days went by, I felt more uneasy, and I got to a point to where I was like, you know what? I have to free my mind from this. And the way to do it is to let them know. First of all, me just keeping it to myself, in a way it's kind of manipulative. Like I'm trying to manipulate a situation. I'm trying to control the situation. But they have the right to know. They have the right to know. And how they choose to react, it's on them. If they've been wronged, they have the right to feel how they feel. And I'm the one who have done something wrong. So I allowed, my part is just to tell them and listen to them what they tell me. Maybe they have a way that they want to be compensated that would work better for them. Or maybe they'll be like, you know what, let it's okay. Just it's okay. They might not make it a big deal, or they might. I told myself that I will braven up and go and tell them and just release trying to predict and control how, like, overthink about how they're going to react or what's going to happen next, and just focus on the present and focus on what I could do at that moment. So I decided to tell them the truth, and they didn't overthink, they didn't overreact, to be honest. They just worked with me, and they tried to, they let me know what solution would work best for them. They didn't actually make me like compensate. I volunteered to do the compensation that I wanted just because I just wanted to do something to make up for it. And they gave me grace. And here I was overthinking and beating myself about it. Sometimes the truth that will set you free is you being honest about things in your life, even those things that are uncomfortable. If you have done something, you holding on to something, maybe you have made a mistake and you've been holding on to that mistake because you're thinking too much, you're worried about how whoever you might have affected will react, or you feel so shamed or guilty about it that you feel like it's better just to keep it to yourself and keep beating yourself about it. That's not the best way to go. You need to set yourself free. Revealing that, opening up about it, is the first step to freeing yourself and correcting the situation. Don't assume for people what they think or what they would do. You can't control other people's reactions, but you can control what you do. If you know in your heart genuinely that it was a mistake, it's okay. We all make mistakes. It wasn't the first, and it probably won't be the last. None of us are perfect. Free yourself from the burden of guilt, a burden of unforgiveness, burden of shame because of your imperfections. Maybe just hearing that truth is what you and the person needed. Is all you need. Sometimes waiting things out would just make it worse. Timing is important in certain situations. For example, you have a situation where maybe you made a small mistake, and let's say you are at somebody's house, right? And maybe you spilled something on their rug, and you decided instead to just beat yourself about it and keep feeling bad about it, and you're just there, with that thought. You decide not to tell them, you know? And now this person could maybe they have important guests coming over. I know on a certain date, and they had the house arranged and everything. If you let's say you even wanted to compensate, and now you found the same rug, but it will not arrive on time. You won't be able to get it on time before this person has the guests over, but you decided not to tell them instead. Now, this thing that they needed is not available. Like they can't use it. Nothing stays hidden forever. Whatever you choosing to hold on to, it will have to come out eventually. But how it comes out can impact how people respond to you. I was watching this show, and these two people, they married other people, and they decided not to tell their children about the other. So these siblings, there was these two siblings that grew up in different households. They didn't know about each other. They're around the same age, and they ended up falling in love and wanting to be together. And now the parents, at this point, they were like in college. The parents, of course, were opposing to it and everything because they knew the truth. The women, um, the mother of the guy, didn't tell her new husband that the girl that the guy is trying to be together with is his sister. Her husband was like trying to root for them. Is like, why do you have to keep these people apart? They just want to be together. Why do you have to be against it? They're young, they're in love. He didn't see a problem with it because he didn't know the truth. The father of the girl knew the truth, and the mother of the girl knew the truth. The mother of the girl kept telling the father that they should tell her the truth. But he kept saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. Now the two young people decided to run away because they were determined on being together no matter what happens. Had they just been told the truth from the beginning, the situation could have been avoided. But even when things got bad, they were still trying to um, hold it out for as long as they could. And guess what ended up happening? A third party ended up revealing the truth to the daughter, to the girl. And she was pissed off. She was very pissed off at her parents. Not only, like, they knew that she had another sibling. And they knew that the person she was trying to be with was a sibling. And they didn't tell her this whole time. It had to take an outsider to tell her the truth. And now, of course, they come with the whole forgiveness, trying to tell the backstory and everything. But it's like, it's too late now. It was a situation that could have been, it could have, been managed better. So it didn't get like as bad as it got. If these children knew from young age that they were siblings, they would have just lived life like siblings and been okay. But they were so in love. They grew up and they were so in love to the point they were about to get married and go off together and all of that. All the emotions. Imagine being in that situation. This is just one example of money, of why, like, it's important to be honest and reveal the truth. The truth that will set you free isn't just about acquiring knowledge about life. It's also about knowing, um it's about being honest about you, about yourself. Being honest to you and being honest to those whom you need to be honest with, especially when it comes to times of making mistakes, because you can avoid things from getting worse and you can also help yourself by revealing the truth. Don't make yourself live in misery because of guilt and shame. If mistakes are inevitable, but how you handle it says more about you than the mistake itself sometimes. Let the truth set you free. Let the power of revelation set you free, even if it means revealing yourself and your mistakes when necessary, of course. All right, beloved. Always your number one cheerleader cheering for you. Remember that you are always divinely guided, divinely protected, divinely provided for. Remember to always give grace to yourself and give grace to others, as we are all not perfect. If people wrong you, you wrong people too. That's why we all need grace. If you're in a situation that you feel guilty because you've done something for somebody, you need to be honest about it. But also remember, if there's anybody else in your life that may need forgiving, remember that you're also somebody that sometimes needs grace, and extend that same grace that you would want for yourself to someone else. But of course, situations are different. Do what's right for your particular case. Because sometimes grace and forgiveness means just knowing it internally for yourself, depending on what it is out there. All right, stay beautiful, stay positive. Lots of love, peace, and light. Until my next video, your Fulani sister.